Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan and I traveled down to New Jersey with our friend from a former episode, Bella Picard. She drove all the way down to New Jersey with us. We got to spend the entire day with her, and we went to meet up with Eric Legrand. Alan is going to read an excerpt from his book, Believe, and tell you a little more.
I shall. So his book is called Believe, and I like how the E and L are different colors. It's white and red. I'll show that to you on the camera here. For audio, I'll describe it. But it says, Believe, My Faith, and the Tackle That Changed My Life. That's the title of the book by Eric Legrand. And I will read you a quick little excerpt. I was excited. The play was coming straight at me. I knew where I wanted to hit him. Instinct took over. Just before I exploded into him, one of my teammates dove for his legs. My opponent responded by swiveling his hips and twisting and turning just as he reached the impact zone. Instead of hitting him in the chest with my shoulder, though, where I was aiming, my helmet rammed into his collarbone. It all happened in tenths of a second. The collision between helmet and bone made a sickening sound that ricocheted through the stadium. Oh, what a great open field hit by Eric Legrand, who was shaken up by the play. When I nailed him, my body instantly went stiff. My vision immediately blurred, and everything slowed down. I fell to the ground like a giant oak that had been cut down, landing on my back. Little did I know, everything in my life was about to change.
It was a ridiculous interview from the aspect of Bella Picard and Eric were both told that they would never walk again, they would never function normally again, and Bella has more mobility than she has. Yeah. Alan, you noticed that right off the bat.
Totally.
And Eric is moving his shoulders, and he was dancing while we were there, and it was just such a next level episode from the perspective of gratitude. Sitting down with two young people that, you know, have drastic changes to their lives that we could literally never even understand.
Yeah.
Being able to be in that room and be part of that conversation with them, it was amazing, and I think you guys are going to love it.
Absolutely. One last thing I just want to say is they both had really, really high standards for themselves. They were both, you know, all-star athletes, and I think that the belief in themselves is what they were told, you know, you'd never function again, and they're both beyond what the doctors thought, and I think that's an attribute to their standards for themselves and their belief in what could be rather than what is right now.
Love it, and we hope you guys will too. Bye. No. Geographically? Geographically. This is cool. So I would say make sure that pretty face is showing.
Yes, true.
They're going to want to see that fucking thing. They're going to want to see that fucking thing, Alan. That fucking face. You good? Ready? All right, we're going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. Today is a very special / random episode. We are down in New Jersey, and we brought Bella with us. The viewers will remember Bella. We brought Bella because she talked about Mr. Eric Legrand here, who we're sitting with, on the podcast that we did. We made a teaser clip of it recently. And then we were like, oh, that's a whole thing. So we reached out. Alan reached out to Eric. Eric was like, yeah, come down. And then we figured, why don't we bring Bella with us? And so far, it's been an incredible day. And Eric, thank you so much for having us.
Hey, thank you for coming to Jersey.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
I've been a good dog.
You have been a good dog.
That's what I feel like in the car.
Yeah, Bella just sat in the back and
That's what Benny does.
told jokes, burped, and talked about her pooch. So for those who don't know you, I'm sure you have a kind of like a story that you tell, right? Yeah. About how everything got you to where you are today. You mind taking us through that story?
Sure, yeah. I'm a former Rutgers football player. I was paralyzed back in 2010 playing at MetLife Stadium versus the Army Black Knights. It was fourth quarter of a game, ran down on kickoff to make a tackle. Next thing you know, I'm laying there motionless on the ground and I couldn't breathe. Got taken off the field, and you know, the doctors, when they first saw me, it was not good. They told my mom that I would never walk again, I would never breathe on my own, never eat solid foods, never live a normal life pretty much. And from there, I've overcome a lot of things. I eat plenty of solid food. I'm breathing on my own. I've regained back function, past the low, the injury part that they thought I would be able to.
Nice.
So things have came back for me, and I just all around just want to make a difference in this world and try to help other people in similar situations. And I remember I got to meet Bella a few years ago, meet her via Instagram a few years ago now. I had to meet her in person today, but, just being in this SCI community, I've got to meet a lot of incredible people and just share a lot of different stories with a lot of people because all come from different walks of life with this injury, but become part of a family.
I would say you're definitely changing lives for sure, because I've seen your profile and the people that you're connecting with and the impact that you're having is next level. So I think you're definitely accomplishing that. What is it like to actually be with Bella in the same room?
It's actually cool. This girl's a ball of energy right here. I love her.
Yeah.
She comes walking in the room and she takes over, and it's really cool to be able to actually meet her because I feel like I've known you now, 3 years now, 4 years now, whatever it is. And now I've, consider her one of my really good friends and got to finally meet her in person and get to do this podcast with her.
Awesome. I know. Today was such a good day.
Right?
Already.
Love it. So you told us the story of how you met, because when you got injured, you had already been following Eric.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into that story?
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about how thoughts become things. We talked about this happening in the last podcast. We talked about Eric, his support system.
Right.
And then, tell that whole story.
Yeah. I started following you, Eric, I think in high school. Yeah, it was in high school. And when I got to St. Joe's, we weren't allowed to use social media. So I stayed off of it. And then, after my injury, I was still in the hospital. I was still at Spalding, an inpatient. And you popped up on my news feed. And I actually said to one of my nurses, I was like, Kristen, how weird is this? I was following him, and now, I'm crying at this kid's post because, I understood it on such a different level. But previously, I remember being so motivated by you, but in applying it to the field, in a physical body as an athlete, and seeing just a post of yours in that hospital, it was it makes me emotional because it was just oh my gosh, I got to carry this out in my life now. It's not on a field. It's what he's doing. So yeah, I love Eric.
No, it's really cool to see, and hear stuff like that when I get to hear people that say, oh yeah, I was following you before I got hurt, and then I get to talk to them a little bit, and while they're hurting, they're like, now I apply the same things that I heard about you before your injury now into my life, and they're trying to make a difference as well.
It's such a unique perspective to have. It really is. It's interesting.
I think Alan did so we were talking obviously a lot on the ride down here. It's a 3.5 hour ride. So we got a good chance to talk about stuff that we haven't talked about before, stuff that we have talked about before. But I think Alan did a really good job of saying for me and him, it's, of course I try to understand what you're going through, but I have no idea at all. At all. I understand that you have struggles, right? I've seen you have struggles, and I understand that you're in a wheelchair. But after that, there's a loss of connection between what does that mean to you and to you as compared to me, And it's the one thing, or one of the many things that I really wanted to accomplish with this is just you guys are so powerful mentally. So powerful mentally. That's one thing that I will never forget from sitting down with you, and I know it's going to be the same here. How do you keep that mindset when tomorrow I can wake up and do whatever I want? You can too, but within a certain, you know what I mean? And it sounds weird to even ask that question, but what motivates you guys, and what makes you get up first thing in the morning when today's not going to be easy? What is it that motivates you guys? What is it that pushes you guys?
Honestly, it's the people that I'm surrounded by and the people that I see on a daily basis too. Especially when I go to therapy, I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed with my situation where I have a great mom. I have a great family, a bunch of friends that will do things for me. Even though I have to, like you said, you can get up and do it yourself. I have to ask somebody. I have that support system to do it. When I go to therapy, sometimes I see these people that don't have anybody. They get transportation through their insurance company that's half the time late, so they miss half of their session of therapy. They get in there, They're trying to explain to the therapist why they're late. Then they go, after the therapy's over, they just go back home, or some people even go to nursing homes because they can't get into their physical house anymore because they can't get upstairs and things like that. And they don't have the means to have, what I have, a brand new house and things like that. And it makes me put things into perspective, like, what are you really complaining about? Yes, you may have this, this difficulty or this problem or that, but you really don't have it too bad, compared to what a lot of people do have. I have a good friend by the name of Joe DeFranco, and he's a big into, bodybuilding and things like that. He trains a lot of athletes and clients, and he says his biggest thing he tries to tell them, okay, you may have it bad or this is happening, compared to what? Compared to what? Like, what are you comparing this to? Like, people compare, oh, I got to do this today, that today, I got to go here, I got to go there. There's traffic, this and that. Okay, you complain about it, but you can compare to what?
Yeah.
Somebody that would rather be in your shoes or in your situation. It's like, wow, I really don't have it that bad.
Yeah. I'd go off of that and say, if one thing I've learned from you, Eric, is that support, is recognizing how blessed we are to have support that, a lot of people don't have. And when you say, transportation through insurance, as soon as you say that, I can just see the people I always see at therapy who are getting dropped off, and I'm in my, 10 o'clock therapy and it's 10:20 and I'm, like right in the middle of it. And these people are, just moseying on in, and it's like, yeah, it puts things into perspective, and, support is what makes getting up easy. It, like, physically, like, no pun intended, but mentally, like it makes it so much better. And, I think loneliness is something that, the human beings recognize so easily. And, in our, situations, I think we recognize that on a deeper level, when we see those people come in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Your ability to empathize with that in particular is so
it's
strong.
It's an appreciation. It's like, wow, I have that support. I have that.
It's huge.
Yeah, it is huge.
We always talk on this podcast about how important it is to create sort of a dream team with like values, like priorities, people who resonate strongly with who you are and what you're about. And that sort of support system. We talked in the car on the way here about, like what Kevin just kind of said. It's like we can intellectually try to put ourselves in you guys' shoes, but you two can really connect on an even deeper level because you've literally been there in those moments where you thought you wouldn't be able to walk again, you wouldn't be able to move again, right? And I think that having people around you who can relate to you on that deep level is absolutely critical. Yeah. Is that what you guys are also referring to by the support system?
I do, because when you're at therapy, some of the times, those are the best moments for some of those people that they have, because they can relate to other people in the similar situations, where when they go out, where I call it the real world, and they don't see people that are in their situations, they see people walking, going about their business, and they have to find a way to be able to make it through their life. But when they come to therapy, sometimes it's just like it takes that burden off of them. It's like, wow, this person's in my situation, or wow, that person has it way off worse than I have it, And it puts a lot of things into perspective for you, and just allows you to just take you away from it and be able to talk about things that you may be going through that somebody else is going through. We were just talking off camera before, my mom Bella and I, about just how secondary conditions go into spinal cord injuries. Like, oh, you're facing that, me too, or I get hot in this situation, me too, or I get cold in this situation. It's just crazy how where after you have this injury, how much you can relate to so many similar things.
It is. It's like infinite connections. It really is. Just the littlest things and the biggest things. But I think number one is passion here, I think passion in this community is like, survival, It's like, it's so motivating. That support, that's like a whole nother category where it's like, talk about a dream team. Like my friend Meredith Koch, I want to get Meredith on this. I actually was an inpatient when she came in a month later, her accident was, and she was the only other younger girl. And 2 months I was in there, we would like compete with each other, but she was like I think she was like mid-back, I forget where, but point is after it was over, she reached out to me when I got released, and she was still in there, and she's like, without you like in here, like it was so good to just see someone like my, and that was another like Mario Kart boost when I like realized like, oh my gosh, it's like team, I love it.
Yeah, and you can be that for someone. That's so huge.
That's the most humbling,
We talked, I know in our podcast, we talked about how your mentality changed after your injury and how you almost kind of find new passions.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So obviously you were a very good football player. And when that part of your life, became conflicted, how did you get through the next step that was like, all right, I'm not going to play football right now. Who knows what the future holds? Who cares what the doctors are saying? You're going to do what you're going to do, and you are already. But how did you translate that into helping other people, becoming a public figure, a public speaker, things like that?
Hey, that's actually a great question. So it all started when people were reaching out to me after, the injury. People were coming up supporting me. But then as time goes along, people are like, E, what can we do to help you? What can we do? And I'm like, you know what? I have, everything that I pretty much need. I'm very fortunate. I just need to form a foundation now. Let me, put my efforts into now giving back to the cause, because everyone's giving to me. Now is my time to give back to the cause, and I partnered up with the Christopher and Dana Reed Foundation, and I formed Team Legrand. And I could tell you many stories that from people that are like in unfortunate situations that it just gives them hope and belief. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm out here doing what I can do, using my platform to raise money, so one day that somebody that needs a bunch of help now can just be able to take care of themselves. If we find a cure for this, that's what it's all about, and that's what my passion is now. And I try to bring the community around it, because spinal cord injuries, they don't discriminate. It can happen to anybody at any given time. And I try to just tie the whole community around with it, whether if it's, I just had my first annual flag football tournament. I have my 8th annual walk coming up. Now, just a few weeks after that, I'm having a Zumba event. I'm trying to just tie in like everybody in the community and make them realize, one, educate them with spinal cord injuries, but two, to realize how fortunate that they are, and three, make them want to give back and want to find a cure for this by raising the funds so we can get these clinical trials going, and I can get back up on my feet and I can dance with Bella.
I love it.
That's the goal.
Nice.
I can't wait for that.
Aha.
No, yeah. I think that's what you said about hope. That resonates. It's just hope. Even just seeing like his Instagram, like it brings me back to the hospital, like instant hope. Like,
Yeah.
and that's without even clicking on his link, like just like instant. And that's what I like.
I feel like I don't know. I feel your energy right now.
I know. I'm about to unleash.
It's a lot. There's a lot going on in that head of yours.
You can tell. I'm
Yeah.
like, I get pumped.
One thing that jumps off the page constantly, and I really want to kind of try to give this to the listeners, is I keep hearing certain words from both of you. On the first podcast with you, Bella, this came out repeatedly. And Kevin and I have talked about this since. I told you we did an episode on gratitude where basically all we did was talk about what we're grateful for. And you used the word blessed several times already, Eric. And what I want people to realize is that everyone's going through their own shit. And no matter how tough it is, like Kevin and I have talked about this, it's like, listen, like I can sit here and complain, or I can focus on what I'm grateful for, because I am blessed in certain ways. And if I focus my energy there, those things will improve and make me feel better. And if I feel better, I can do more for others. Exactly. So one thing I want to give to the listeners is, like, you two have been through more challenges than most people can fathom, but yet you came out on the other side more grateful, more intelligent, more aware, and more giving. And I think that that's just such a huge testament to what human beings are capable of. Yeah. And I really wanted to bring that home, because when I heard him say blessed several times, and I heard you say that several times in the last podcast, like, I just think that gratitude is the cure to a lot of suffering. And I think that's key for all of us, regardless of what challenges we're facing.
100%.
And I think in life too, in general, when we're here on this earth for this short amount of time that we're here for, finding what we're here for, leaving a legacy behind. And people ask me all the time, like, what do you want to leave behind? And honestly, I say, I want to be a hero. I want people to look at him and say, wow, that man never gave up because of what he believed in. He tried to make a difference and help other people out. He is a hero. And I'll straight up say, I want people to look at him like he is a hero. And, if I can make that little impact in this amount of time that I'm here on this earth, that's what it's all about, whether if somebody with a spinal cord injury or just somebody that's dealing with adversity, because I say it in my speeches all the time. In life, we're going to deal with some type of adversity, whether we're 5 years old or 65 years old. It's how you handle it that ultimately defines you as a person.
Yeah. Going off of that, it's choice. It's like one thing I realized, coming out on the other end, like you said, was like the fact that I have a choice.
Yeah.
Like I have the choice to let myself, be bound to this and, let it consume me and break me, or I literally have the choice to do anything else but that, you know, and it's just, I guess that just carries on into what's the good choice. And yeah, it just feels natural.
When you got in the car this morning, like we laughed, we talked,
it was a
we
great
had
time.
a good time. Their sense of humor is next level. Like you're so happy, and it's genuine happiness.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't have any excuse not to be happy when she's so thrilled about everything.
I was honestly so pumped this morning because I didn't get one spasm.
All right,
No,
that's
but
a win.
it's even those little things. It's
Right?
just like, but yeah, I'm a firm believer on like, momentum does carry, and especially when it's, positivity. So
Look at that focus. She focused on, I didn't get a spasm. This
Right.
is a great day.
yeah, yeah,
Like some of us are complaining about we didn't get whipped cream on our coffee
Right.
and stuff. Like go ahead.
And I think a big thing is with us being a lot of people see when people with disabilities, some people were born that way, so that's really the only way of life that they know. Me and Bella, a lot of people with spinal cord injuries, we lived that able-bodied life
Yeah,
before.
I talked about
We
that.
knew what it was like to be able to have what we have, and now, living the life that we do have, with the restraints sometimes on things, it makes you appreciate, like, wow, what I was able to do. But it also gives you motivation to strive for. I want to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
And like I said, just make a difference and do whatever you need to do in order to get to that level and have that just genuine of happiness, that not having to fake anything,
Right.
because you're just genuinely happy that you're able to do the things that
Right.
you do, or people around you supporting you. It's just really cool to
it
see.
is. Yeah.
And talking about like faking it, like you said, you were talking earlier about wanting to be a hero, right? And the only way you're going to be a hero long term for the rest of your life is if you're the hero of your own story, which means you got to take the good with the bad. You're going to have bad days, right? We all do. We all have bad days. Our bad days might be different than your bad days. Like
Right.
you had a good ride because you didn't have a
Right.
spasm.
Yeah.
I had a good ride because I didn't crash
right.
into anything,
Right.
you know? And
Exactly.
We came
Again-
close a few times.
I know we did get close. Eric, it wasn't great.
One time.
It wasn't great. But I feel like perspective is huge.
Yeah.
Perspective is huge, and most people, not most people, a lot of people tend to just say like, "Oh, this is what my life is right now. I'm not happy with it." But I look back on, like I was talking to Eric before we came. We were talking via text, and when we came, I used to work down here.
Yeah.
Like that ride would have taken an hour and a half longer. I would just be going to work for an 8-hour
Yeah.
day, and I would have been up for over 24 hours. And it's like, I remain super grateful jumping through hoops to do this because I'm jumping through hoops to do something I love.
Right.
And it's like, I want to be a hero too. So I feel you there 100%. And I think we're doing what we need to do to be the heroes for ourselves first. And that'll just show everybody else that I can be your hero. And guess what? You can be your own hero
Right.
too. If you're willing to put the work in.
Exactly. You paved the way for what you want. If you want to pave a rough road for you and a bumpy road, you can do that. You can pave a nice smooth road for yourself. And even when you have some speed bumps, you can get over those speed bumps by the way you handle it.
100%. I
Unbelievable.
love that. I love your voice, Eric.
I know, right?
Not me. Hey,
We played it back for him, and he was like, "I don't like my voice." I'm like,
I don't want-
"It's a good one."
when I hear this later, I'm like, eh.
I'm waiting to drop an album here.
Yeah, very
Right.
very soothing.
Yeah.
Jazz voice. So you give speeches to high schools, colleges. You mentioned that you like to speak to adults because they get your sense of humor, which
Yes,
is
they do.
awesome. What do you speak about in particular? I know you said motivational speaking, but what's kind of like your main message to the youth?
All right, well, first, I love to talk about the injury right away. To just bring them in and hone them in right in where I was in that situation, what I felt like, so you can capture them right away. Like, wow, try to put yourself in that situation. Then I start telling stories on my journey along the way of people I met and how they affected me and what their life meant to me, and the reason why I live my life the way I do. And then I go at the end and I try to wrap it up with reasoning, and this is why I did this, or this is why I did that, or you got to go out there and this is, give them you set them up with the equation, then you give them the solution at the end, and I just give them different terms and the methods I live my life by. And one, I'll give you guys a definition of success that I was embedded in our head at Rutgers. Our coach used to make us say it every day, and it's kind of like the John Wooden quote, but it's the peace of mind you get knowing you did everything you could to be the best you can be. So if you give, I'll say it one more time, the peace of mind you get knowing you did everything you could to be the best you can be. No matter what it is, I tell kids, whether if it's your homework, if it's on the practice field, or even helping your mom on the weekend,
Right.
if you gave it your all, whatever it was, you should be able to lay your head down on that pillow at night and sleep at ease. Say, you know what? I left it all out there. I had no ounces left that I could give or whatever it was I did. And see where that takes you. That light at the end of the tunnel, believe me, it will come, and it's gonna be very bright when you get to that light because you're just doing great things in this world.
I love it. John Wooden's a huge hero of mine. I know that that's not who you quoted, but you know John Wooden. Have you heard his TED Talk yet?
I did not hear his
Oh,
TED Talk.
next level. Next level TED Talk. Yeah, man, one of my absolute favorites. It's on my favorites list on my YouTube. But he has one quote in particular. He says, not all the books. No, wait, what is it? Oh, no.
He's gonna butcher
I'm going to butcher the quote.
I have a feeling I kind of know what you're talking about. Is it about not closing the chapter or something? Come on,
Alan is a couple weeks out from his show, so
Yes,
he
fitness
is on
show.
locales.
Fitness show June 2nd. If you want a terrible memory, eat less and less and train harder and harder. Don't do it. No. Talk about leaving it all out on the field, though. That's what I'm doing. So, yeah, I don't remember that John Wooden quote right now. Maybe I'll plug it in the description. I apologize
You'll
to
think of
everyone
it.
for my memory.
It's okay. Yeah, I respect it.
But yeah. Couple questions that I had for you. I always like to ask our guests, what are their favorite books and why? Do you read?
So my favorite book, I'll tell you, is my book.
Oh, all right.
My story. Now, you know why I say that? Because being able to have the opportunity to work and write your story down, I just thought was an incredible moment. Not even just to be like a cheap plug for it. No, being able to work with a ghostwriter, obviously, because I'm not a writer and I'm not writing a book, but be able to sit back and be interviewed by him for 3 days for 8 hours straight.
Oh, wow.
Then
Dive deep.
Yeah, him going back to San Diego because he lives in San Diego. I was in Jersey. Him calling, write up a chapter. I would go through it with my mom and I and edit it. Like, no, this is how it happened, or this is how it needs to be told, this and that. Then send it back to him fix it back, and then send it to the publisher for it, and them tell us, all right, do we want to put this part in the book now or later? How can we get the most
so cool.
impactful moments out of this? Being able to do that, I was like, you know what? My book is going to be my favorite book ever because I got to feel the whole experience of how the whole thing goes of creating it and writing it down. And I'm like, this is great. I'm like, no other book I read could top this. But no, the process being able to write a book and get your words down on paper was incredible. So I can't wait to do part 2. It was a lot of hard work.
There's going to be a part 2.
I did part
What is it? Where can people find it? All That Happy Jazz, plug away.
Yeah. Believe is my faith and tackle that changed my life is the adult version, and Believe, the victorious story of Eric Legrand is a children's version I made as well for 8 to 12-year-olds, and then everything else, like I said, is adult reading. But you can go on pretty much anywhere. Barnes and Nobles, it was in every Barnes and Nobles across the country. You can just Google it in. It's pretty much everywhere that you look.
We'll hammer it in the link as well. In the
Yeah,
that way
like
we
I
can
said,
find it.
Believe, my faith and story that changed my life, and Believe, the victorious story of Eric Legrand. That's the children's version.
Better believe I'll be reading that. I normally would have ahead of
I'm
time,
hoping
but
you guys
again,
have
I'm in
copies
prep.
before you go.
Please.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I
good.
didn't know that's how a ghostwriter worked. That's really cool. So
It's
like you
very-
got to like make it like tweak
Everything.
That's awesome.
Like I said, so he interviews you for the 8 hours, and then of course he's gonna forget some stuff, and
yeah.
he's gonna put it the way that he's writing it. But then
Right.
now you have to edit it and tell him, no, this is exactly how it happened. You write it up, and
so
you send it
cool.
right back to him, and then he fixes it up for
Wow, I didn't know it worked like that. That's cool.
you. Yep.
Maybe Bella will be writing a
I know,
book.
good
Yeah,
good to
I would read
know.
that book.
I would
have,
read that
like,
book, too.
7 written. It's like disgusting.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
ADD.
You were telling us some of like the behind the scenes stuff, and we won't touch on that. But isn't it? What is it like? You're living a completely different life now from like all sorts of aspects. Like you have people reaching out to you, like us, for example. Like
Yeah.
we're reaching out and saying, "Hey, come talk to us.
Yeah.
Like we want to talk to you guys." And it's like,
Yeah.
how does that? That must be like pretty motivating, knowing that you can share your story throughout all these different ways.
Yeah.
But is there like a fine line between like just living your life and also like trying to advertise for you and your purpose?
Right.
Believe me, I'm always going to live my life to the fullest and do things that make me happy, and things like that is traveling. You know, I got a trip coming up with my friends. I'm going to Cabo in July.
Nice.
All right.
I'm always going to make time for that. And
Me too.
I believe there's a lot in 24 hours. There's a lot of time in a day where you can get a lot of stuff done. So if I need to do stuff for my foundation, if I need to go to therapy, I will find a way to do it. If I need to speak, it's all about, schedule, managing your schedule. It really is. And I learned that when I went to college, time management and being able to get certain stuff done. But like I said, I'm always going to have my fun and travels. I love to work, but I love to play too, believe me. So I like to have a good time. So I'm going to always make sure that I have time for myself. Yourself, you got to come first.
What about you, Bella? Because I see like you've been on a bunch of different podcasts.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Feature on this, that, and the other thing.
Heading to Ellen.
Exactly. And I'm similar, like, get all the stuff you need done in college. Oh, college athletics, that taught me, for sure. And that's kind of how I'll schedule, like, my weeks and stuff. But if I see, like, a day that, like, I really, like, I can get some stuff done in the morning, I'm, like, in the woods with my dog. When I was in Florida, I would just on the beach, just picking up trash, learning how to walk, like, just, still trying
Playing
to...
in the sand.
Yeah, the sand is it's weird. Oh, it's so weird. To this day, when I walk on sand, it's very odd, because I don't have that, like, flex in my, like, shin and calf,
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But, I work hard, play hard. that's what
Kevin's
same
like,
thing.
Bella's not texting me back. I'm like, she's probably out in the woods with her dog. She's
literally-
gonna be fine. She'll get back to you, man. Don't worry.
I know. And that's the other thing, too, is, like, I try to stay away from my phone as much as I can. But it's so hard when all the work is online and digitally. So, but yeah,
That's funny you say that. So when I go out to eat with my friends, obviously I don't have access to my hands. So when we get to the table, everyone's always texting on their phone. But when I'm out and about, I don't have my device hooked up to my chair where I can control my phone.
Yeah.
So I'm off. But when I'm out, I'm off of my phone.
Interesting.
So I make my friends, I've made them put their phone in the middle of the table
good.
while we're out to eat. So everyone's not on their phone looking at it. Like we can actually have a conversation.
I love that.
One of the terms I like to use for the phone is a weapon of mass distraction. Yep. But again, it's tough to integrate when our work is on there. As a matter of fact, on the way up here, Bella was saying how she wants to start upping her ability and skills on social media to make the content better. And I was like, talking about mentors, how we have one who's been on the podcast, Catherine. Shout out to you.
Hi, Catherine.
I think
Hi, Catherine.
Eric's social media game is next level.
Yes.
So maybe a mentor here.
I know, Eric.
He can teach
I need
you
some tips.
In fact, when we first got here, I think that's what he was doing on his phone, a little bit of social media action.
I am. I'm very, active when it comes to social media, because that's like it's kind of like the instant gratification for people that if you need to get out something, boom, they can go to their social media app and Instagram. Now Instagram, everyone loves to see stuff, so visualizing things is great. I'm still on Twitter and I just put out tweets and everything, and Facebook stuff, but I really say like Instagram now is really taking off.
Yeah,
Instagram's
Instagram's the big one.
Love to see videos and things like that and things. So I'm always trying to figure out how I can post on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook and get it all out there at once, and just make it so everyone just has access to it. And I don't leave it. I used to leave one out, like I only post on Instagram, not on Twitter and Facebook, and then people are like, no, you got to do all three.
That's what I've just recently been doing.
Or if it's YouTube or whatever it is, you got to don't leave one out. Yeah. Because you do.
This conversation's happening for a reason.
I know. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, I know. I need to get better at it. I have a YouTube page now, and
plug it.
Only video on.
Yeah, plug it.
Isabella Picard. Please watch my tie-dye video. Yeah, subscribe. It is hysterical.
Absolutely.
I mean, I watch it like in my free time, not like because I genuinely think it's hysterical.
There's something along the lines of "Don't get high on your own supply" in here, or something like that.
Right? I think it's so funny.
Hashtag everybody does it.
It is. I know.
I watch anything with you in it. I like watching you.
Because it's why it's funny, this is so random, but it's like just so authentic. It's so me, and like I never realized looking in on like a normal thing I do every day, like that's weird. Like I'm like, that is not normal.
For those who don't follow you, what video did you post the other day that we were talking about on the ride down.
On the ride here,
The one I farted. Yeah, so it was in one of the last games before my injury. I was caught on camera. It was on ESPN2. Waving off a little flatulence. You know that word.
literally waving it off.
Literally
on
waved it
camera.
off on camera. And I remember getting on the bus. And I had so many text messages from people. And I was like, what are you talking about? What? Oh, yeah. And there's no way I could deny it.
So that's like they really get caught on camera picking a wedgie.
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd rather pick a wedgie than wave off a...
It was pretty funny.
The fart was intentional. The wedgies happened by
but,
accident.
I'm sorry. I hate to say it. I moved away from the catcher.
True.
Like, I was being respectful. I wasn't going to try...
moved away from
I
the
wasn't
catcher,
trying to,
yeah.
make her,
You stepped out of the box.
I stepped out of the
That was
box,
nice of you.
waved
Better.
it away from her,
yeah.
and,
Very
and I did,
Better
of course.
than me. I would have right in that box.
Eric would have just...
Yeah, we were talking about
Everybody hears it.
that was part of our preamble, fart talk. We were all big kids. So when you were talking about your friends, that made me really think like, wow. Like I think a lot of that has to do with who you are because your friends love you, right? They would do anything for you. And I see a lot of people out there who say like, I don't have the best friends. They don't have my best intentions in hand. Like Alan and I are such good friends because Alan believes in me and he doesn't care whether I succeed with or without him. If I succeed without Alan, it doesn't matter to him. The fact that I succeeded is what he wants. And what's the opposite?
It's the same.
Isn't there a word for that?
Vice versa.
Vice versa. I was going to say, and it's deja
That's why I
vu.
came today. Vice versa. Thank you.
Kevin's in a little bit of a prep.
I'm
as
also
well.
in a prep. Yeah, we got a photo shoot tomorrow. Not,
Yes,
not
we
a good
do.
day to travel.
Yes,
the day
we
before
do.
a photo shoot, but
Right.
no excuses, just results. So, what would you say to people that? I have a lot of people that reach out to me they struggle to find their tribe, their dream team. Do you have any suggestions on how people can kind of just get out of their comfort zone and try to meet people that want the best for them?
That's a great way. Get out of your comfort zone. I'm not going to lie to you. I have a lot of friends. I'm in 3 different group messages, and each group message is very different. I have my friends who joke around all day long who are just a bunch of clowns. But I go to the laugh. I got my group message where if we want to talk sports, we're going to be sitting there going in contract negotiations,
Oh, yeah.
everything. Then I got my group of friends who would like to probably go out more and go out and listen to this or that. So I got 3 different messages, or even I got a family group message too. So being able to adapt to each one of them,
Yeah.
I think that's what sticks out. I mean, I can get along with anybody. I could talk to a wall.
I do.
It doesn't matter, and that's why I say where I grew up. Honestly,
I already believe it.
Trees in the woods.
where I grew up is very diverse. You have a mixture of everything around here. So I think I've just culturally just been adapted to that, and I can adapt to pretty much any environment around me. And I think the biggest thing I try to tell people too, I learned at college is you got to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
You got.
We say that all the time.
If
Yeah.
you're comfortable being uncomfortable,
Yeah.
you won't find yourself in
Exactly.
being
Yeah.
uncomfortable situations, and sometimes that's thinking out of the box and going to have that extra conversation with somebody when you don't know if you should have that conversation, but you take that extra 5 minutes and you never know where that conversation may lead to.
Yeah.
So speaking of comfort, you seem very comfortable in front of the mic. I mean, you've obviously given speeches in front of audiences, and you've done a lot of this. There's a lot of people out there who are trying to transition to this new sort of social media world where our TV is now in our pocket, right? And they want to make an impact, build a personal brand, stuff like that. And they see someone like you who's so comfortable on camera, so comfortable in front of the mic, and they wonder to themselves like, oh, I don't have that confidence, or I'm afraid of public speaking, or I'll sound stupid, I'll forget a word, or butcher a quote.
I forget words all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What got you from were you ever afraid of public speaking prior to doing it? And how did you get to this level where you're just so comfortable?
I still get the butterflies every time before I speak. If you don't, then you're not in the right business.
it ain't
usually.
game day.
Exactly. It should be. You
interesting.
should get butterflies before each time, but
Yeah.
once it's repetition. Doing it over and over. It's not like I got in front of the mic and all of a sudden, boom, I'm Morgan Freeman with the voice and perfect.
Oh, yeah. That's a good reference, man.
It takes time, a lot of repetition, a lot of work and things of that nature. And then the more you do it, the more you become comfortable doing it. And if you find your niche, and that's why not everyone does have that, and that's why I can say it's a skill as well.
Yeah.
And that's why people can do it for a living, as we were talking about with Eric Thomas. One thing I learned from him is, people ask him, he said all the time, "Oh, can you do this? We really don't have a budget, or we can't really pay you, or this and that." And he's like, not everyone could do what I can do at my level, which I deserve to be paid for.
Of
because
course,
it's a skill.
Oh, yeah.
To see what he does and stuff like that.
Decades of experience.
It's a skill. So it's like, oh, you want me to do this for free, but I'm offering up something that this person can't do, or that person can't do, or you can't do. So that actually, I just learned that 2 weeks ago. I'm like, that's very interesting.
It's a great perspective. My mentors say that to me as well. They think that I'm very, very underpaid with my speeches.
Right.
And that's, you got to start somewhere, but like it's a very valuable skill because it's very rare because it is something a lot of people are afraid of. And being able to move an audience is a real craft.
Right.
Yes.
You have to master that.
Right.
And once you do, you can definitely influence hundreds of thousands of people.
You are your own brand,
move
like
mountains.
you were saying. Like you got to,
Exactly.
you have to kind of like you have to,
Yeah. Oratory is, like you said, you can move mountains with emotion and with words.
Yeah.
It's huge.
We talked about fear chasing. What do you do? Obviously, like, again, going back to circumstances, right? My circumstances are different than yours. My fear chasing could be different than yours. What do you do? What does fear chasing mean to you? Like, what are you uncomfortable doing that you do regardless of that because in the long run, that's what's going to pay off?
My biggest fear chasing now is comparing my speeches with people that have been doing this for so many years. But I feel like I needed to take that next step in my career. And this is all new. I've been in the Eric Thomas class now for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, and this is all very new to me. I'm trying to compare myself to someone who's been doing this for 20 years and saying, how can I get to his level? What were the steps that he took? And then not getting discouraged too, where you go on, like you try something in the speech. Like I just try to add a little bit more to my other speech, and then you go watch something like he's doing. Like I don't sound like that. Like dang, I did not sound like he just did. Like I'm sitting here, I'm all pumped up. Now you listen to yours, you're like, I got a flat tire. So being able to not get discouraged as you're trying to perfect your craft, I think is big, and that's a fear a lot of people coming out that comfort zone, like, I do this perfectly. I'm only going to do this. Right. I'm not doing nothing else. I'm not trying nothing else. I do this perfect. This is me. Nice. No, being able to come out of that and try different things and
I love
work
that.
it out. And then when you don't have success with it, still coming back and try to perfect that niche, because the more you can do, the more valuable you get. That's for you New Englanders up there, Bill Belichick. The more you can do, the more valuable you are.
He's a big Rutgers guy. He likes his Rutgers guy.
Even though I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan, I truly believe if I never got hurt, I'd have been playing for Bill Belichick because of the versatility that I could have been able to offer to.
You are literally like his absolute player. Yeah.
You can run down a kickoff. You can play, hold on a double team down low in the trenches. You can go on punt. The more you can do, the more valuable you are. That's a Bill Belichick quote for you all. Like I said, all you New Englanders.
Like that.
What about you, Bella?
Love me some Bill Belichick.
You are one of the most outgoing people, and this is from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
Right? Today we're at Starbucks dancing at 6 a.m. Everybody's looking at us like we're on crack.
All three of us at the same time.
Yeah.
In unison, by the way.
With my sunglasses on.
And none of us cared. Like I wasn't uncomfortable in the slightest bit. But what do you do to fear chase?
I just think might not make sense at all. But what I've learned is like I just in myself. Like in the things that about myself that complement other people's ability to connect with me, I capitalize on. And that's kind of like the other end of what like he was saying is, go out and try something different, and if it wasn't successful, work on it, and my thing too is hell yeah. And also once you find something that is successful, never stop working on that. Like, it's like making a snowball. That's like we were talking about earlier.
And that's what makes you very unique too, because as you just say, you are you. There's no other Bella Picard out there.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
who you are, and that captivates an audience and brings people, draws them to you because they know that when they're talking to you or they're around you, they don't get that from everybody else.
Right,
so
it's authentic.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Eric.
No doubt, homie.
no doubt, homie. I love it. By the way, can we dance at some point?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Love
hey,
it.
man, when are you going to Cabo?
July, I'll be there.
All right.
July 2nd, baby. I can't wait.
All right,
That's
I'll
awesome.
Remember
Wait.
that.
Get some sun in my life.
See you
and,
there.
Get some Spanish food. I can't wait. I know.
Gotta study up on that Spanish.
Chocolates for
I know.
days.
No, I'm like, hey.
I know.
Hey.
Hola.
Hola. Hola, mamacita. ¿Qué pasa?
Yeah, that's what you know.
Bla, wey,
Get on that Duolingo game.
I know, I've been crushing Duolingo.
So one of the questions that I always like to ask the guests too is I talk a lot about the power of mentors. And when you were a D1 athlete in college, you as well, I'm sure you had mentors. I'm sure your mentors have shifted as your passions and purpose shifted. Maybe in some way you guys are a mentor to one another, probably. Talk on mentors, how powerful they've been in your life, both before and after the incident in both of your cases.
Well, I could actually talk about, a career of mine that I always wanted to get into before my injury, which was sports broadcasting. I always thought I was going to go to the NFL, retire, become a sports broadcaster. That was always my goal. And when my playing in football ended shorter than I wanted to, I had to figure out what I was going to do. And it started with sports broadcasting. And, I'm like, I could talk about the game of football, this and that, but you never really realize how hard it is until you actually get in front of a microphone or you do it on TV or if you do it on the radio. For me, it was on the radio. I did the spring game at first. And I remember I was very still fine-tuned after my injury into my football terminology that I was learning at Rutgers. So I'm sitting there talking about blitzes and this and that. And the guy I'm working with, the play-by-play guy, was like, on the break, goes, E, you got to tone it down. We need football 101. Now people don't understand every term that you're saying right now. I'm like, I didn't know. There's things like that. Then speaking loud and then being able to, adjust on the fly, working with somebody so you're not talking over them. A lot of stuff goes into this. And then on the radio, you got to realize you're their eyes. So you got to explain it as perfectly as possible. And like I said, not confuse the people because they're listening to you. They're not watching. So you got to break it down perfectly for them. So I have some great mentors. My number one being Chris Carlin, because he, in the very beginning when I first got started with this sports broadcast, we would record it. I told you I hate listening to myself too. He would bring it over my house and we would sit down and we would go through the entire game and I had to listen to myself and how I sound. I'm like, damn, I'm terrible.
The gut check.
Exactly. And he would be 100%. It wasn't everyone, with this a lot too. A lot of people like, oh, you did great. They pat you on your back.
Oh yeah.
No,
mentors don't do that.
No,
It's not good. Not good mentors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He broke it down, told me what I need to do. I need to project here. I need to explain more here, explain less here.
Yeah.
Pass it back to me. Don't overstep here.
Right.
Like that's that type of stuff. Exactly what I needed, and it still helps me to this day.
Yeah.
Bella, you lit up when he said sports
I
broadcasting.
didn't know that. That's what I had communications major. I wanted to be a sports broadcaster.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was the route I was
Little
going.
Holly Rowe going. Okay.
Yeah, How do you want me? But yeah, I agree with what am I being weird?
I have no idea what that reference was. I just literally did this.
You don't know her?
I know who she is.
She's
Oh,
like
okay.
a blonde.
Oh, she's
like-
beautiful.
Yeah, Jason Varitek dated her, and it was like all this.
Jason Varitek.
Yeah,
I
remember?
haven't heard that name in a
I
while.
know he's the
Boston
I would
guy,
say goat of
like
baseball.
Yankees baby, so
Oh, I like Aaron Judge,
fighting
and I have a crush on him.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's a giant person.
Giant. He reminds me of your dog, actually.
It's a gigantic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
you-
biggest dog I've ever
Diesel.
seen in my
Right.
entire
We
life.
have a Cane Corso Italian, aka Italian Mastiff, who's
Small
2
horse.
years old and 135 pounds.
Oh.
Big boy.
Mama opened the door and she's like, "Yeah, the dog's just over there. He'll be fine." And Alan and I looked at it and like, nope.
Yeah, no, it's been
Absolutely
real.
not.
It's been real. We'll,
That thing is
I've never
built.
I've never held on to that staircase so hard. I was like,
yeah, the Hyperconscious podcast, an incident with a 135-pound
We're
dog.
gonna have to get some B-roll of Diesel later.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
She's like, he won't jump. He didn't jump. If he
No.
did, we
Very
would
well
be
behaved.
deaded.
Yeah.
yeah.
We would be-
He's just a big hyper goofball.
There
with
would be a mark.
He
on
looks
my body
tough. I got him a
in
nice gold chain, so he looks tough. He got the look like.
He's got the swag.
But at the end of the day, he's like, "Hi, mom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to lick everybody."
I told your mom, I'm like, no burglar would ever come here. They see that dog, they're like, nope,
See
I don't
ya.
care if there's $100 million in that house. I'm out.
Right?
I'm out.
Meanwhile,
Like-
his tail's just like.
Meanwhile, some drunk man sits in Bella's car and Benny just like,
Yeah,
"Oh, what's
Benny
going on
doesn't
here?"
do anything. Some old drunk dude just like sat in my car the other day, and I was like, What? I gave him a right hook to his back, and he didn't know. He didn't know it was his car. He was drunk.
Oh,
Interesting.
my
But it was like
gosh.
9 o'clock in the morning.
Hey,
Should we?
But anyway, Benny's just out the window, not even worrying about it.
Can we
But
tell
he's
the
a
story of the
retriever.
deer, real quick?
All right,
Do you
should
mind?
I?
Just 'cause
Yeah,
it's-
that's a
I
good
think it'll
story.
break up the intensity. It's a good, playful story.
All right.
Also kind of intense. By the
It's
way.
intense, yeah. Okay, I went for a jog one time. It was a very warm day. It was December 29th, 2011. 10. And I was in high school. I just got a new iPod Shuffle for Christmas. I'm jogging up a hill, and I'm dogging it. I'm dogging it, Pat. I'm dogging it. I'm going up. These deer cross the road, and I'm like, oh, are those babies? And that was a mother. I'm getting weird spidey senses right
vibes.
now.
Ooh,
I get
spidey
closer, pop out the headphones. I was like, I'm going to have to throw hands with this thing. And what do you know? She popped out of the corner. Peekaboo, bitch. And she headbutted me right in the rib. And then I popped her, and now the glove I was wearing, the winter glove, has all of her snots on it. It's still in my room.
yes.
Oh my God! She punched a deer in the face that attacked her.
Fighting Bambi over here.
right?
So when I called the cops after, I was like, crap, do I call them? Because what if they find a knocked out deer in the woods? Like, is that animal? Like, no.
You earned that. If
But
you did.
it was the scariest
It
moment of
attacked
my
you.
entire
I'm about
life.
to
Not
say,
your
yeah,
fault.
those deers, they will
There's-
stand up
yeah.
and kick you in the hindlines. So.
I saw a video once of a deer like hitting a dog like that.
It's fast.
And
It's
that's,
like,
Oh, yeah.
boom, 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 boom. That's what I was waiting for. And I was like, oh no, pop.
I didn't even.
Rockied
That wasn't
on
even on
that
my
thing.
radar of
Long-
things to worry about.
Long before the video.
Me neither.
Long before the the kangaroo video. Did you see that?
Yes.
Long before that, Bella was out there punching deer. So
Yeah.
that's not a
or deer.
deer.
Geeses or gooses?
Deerses.
Geeses, gooses,
Deerses.
and deers.
Going off,
We
going
call
off the rails
ourselves
over here.
speakers.
Wow.
Speckers.
I enjoy the energy. I'm
This has
always
been great, yeah,
I'm always
wow.
feeling energy, and from the moment I walked in, just again warm. Your mom is awesome.
Yeah, she is.
Mama
What,
Dukes is.
what does she mean to you? Like, you know, a lot of people have good relationships with their moms or their fathers or their families in general, but like she seems like she's super caring and super loving.
She is.
She understands what you need and what you want.
So I'm let me be 100% real. Me and my mom, we have a great relationship, but we fight 35 times a day, and when we get over it within 5 minutes, we can have the biggest blowout, and 5 minutes say, "Oh, what do you want for dinner?" Like it's crazy the difference between my mom and I. You know, me, I'm 27 going on 28. I'm a grown man. This, that. I pay my bills. I like stuff like that. So that and her still looking at me sometimes like I'm a 14-year-old is still where we bump our heads the most.
Of course.
But my mom was there for me through this whole thing. Just that unconditional love. She sacrificed everything. She stopped working. Now I didn't. She said, forget about paying the bill. She like I need to learn how to take care of a quadriplegic. This is going to be something that's on me, not short time. Like I'm going to need to learn it. So she stayed with me at Kessler on this little pull-out couch for 5 months. It was crazy. Stayed with me for 5 months because I couldn't do anything on my own. From there, we moved down to my aunt's house. We stayed there for a few months. Then we got an apartment until my house was knocked down and rebuilt. Then we finally moved back home, and just it makes me want to get better so she can go back living the life that she wants to live. And I always say she has we both do. We have it very well. We have a beautiful house, beautiful family. We get to do some incredible things and meet some incredible people and things like that. But still makes me want to, be able to take care of myself, so she doesn't always have to have that burden of worry about it. And not gonna lie, as you get older, you think about it. Like my mom, as she gets older, she's not gonna be able to be the same spring chicken as she is now. And it makes me, like I said, just want to get better for her because all the things that she's sacrificed for me, being my mom, it makes me just want her to live the life that she wants to live.
It's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
I love that.
Bella, what about you?
I felt that right in my heart.
Right in the feels?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because we saw your mom today when we picked
And
you up.
she had the lunch. She helped me down
Oh,
the
yeah.
stairs.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like you don't like so it's not a part of their job description. But when something happens to their child, it's like they stop everything. My parents stopped too. They just everything just stopped, and it's I know what you mean. But it makes you want to get better. Like it just makes you want to be better. It makes you want to and and they don't even think about that. Like they just want to be here and like love, and it's like okay.
And that's the thing too with my mom. So she always wants to make sure everything is okay. And I tell her, Ma, I got this.
Yes.
Like, I'm good. Let me do this. You know, you don't have to do this. But as her motherly care, because she, sees me in my situation, she sometimes thinks I got to control everything. And, I got to put her in her place. Like, yo, I got this, Ma.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah.
Well, then go do it then. I'll do what I want to do.
On my own time. Yeah, that's what I say.
And then we start
It's
going
an on and off
at it.
switch. Full mom or none?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like she wants to go.
No, shut that off.
It was just the other day. She was like, "Oh, Eric, you said that you wanted to get a new credit card. Discover's been sending you this one here. Why don't you check it out?" I said, "Okay, well." She came back later that night. Hey, did you look for that new credit card? No, I'll do it later. Next day comes. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Eric, did you? I told you this. I said I'll apply for what I need to. Is it a big deal? I need to do it right this second. I just said I did apply that night. For that.
Exactly. It's
But
not
it's
your-
just like those. I didn't do it on her time, so
Right.
it's like bothering. I'm like, you're sitting in your bed worrying about what if I apply for my
Oh,
credit.
yeah.
I'm like,
Oh,
life
yeah.
must be good.
That's what I said this morning.
If you're
What-
worried about me applying for a credit card all this time and keep on asking me,
I said that
ahead
this
with
morning to
something.
them when my mom had the lunch. My mom made me like a whole lunch, like I was in middle school.
yeah, you had a whole
Of
kit.
course, I loved it.
Yeah.
But like I thought to myself in the car, I'm like, this bitch went to bed with like must be up, must make Bella lunch. And and she just and I even said, I'm like, Ma, you don't have to do that. I'm like, grab the clementine. But like it's stuff like that where it's just like,
Oh.
wow, blessed, right?
yes,
You showed up with a blanket, a pillow, in pajamas, and a
I'm
bag
such
of,
a diva to
and a
travel
bag of
with.
snacks.
I am.
No, you're
And you were like, I'm gonna be a handful. Grab my stuff. And we were like, we got you.
I'm such a handful.
It was a
to
funny
travel
sight.
with.
And your mom's peeking out the window or the front
Yeah,
door.
yeah.
Literally. And I'm like, all right, I know you haven't met us, but
I was
we're
thinking
taking
that
your
too.
daughter, like two guys. Like,
Before
yeah.
I left, I was like, yeah, we'll keep her safe.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, we definitely should have walked up and at least shaken her hand.
I know. I thought that too.
I have a
Yeah,
clear
totally.
criminal record. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing about my mom. She'll make sure everything is perfect. She'll make sure I, won't have any issue. But she didn't meet the two guys that are bringing me here.
Right? Well, that's trust.
Yeah,
She must
hey.
feel. She must feel the
She
energy.
is a trusting.
must feel the
woman.
energy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why it took me so long to say this, but I like how it says "do it" with "don't quit" on this shirt.
This
So-
shirt tripped me out. Like when I first really looked at it.
For those
Should
of
we
you
tell
who
them a
are
little
not
bit
on
about
camera, this is your shirt.
So that was not mine to be
people wrong.
exact, but so
Okay.
Prove People Wrong was this guy by the name of Brian Axelrod. It actually was started up in Boston. It was these kids, I believe, our age, well, not as kids. It was
Yeah.
young adults our age
Yeah.
that started a group called Prove People Wrong, and then it kind of took off to the next level. And one of the good friends of mine, I believe yours too, Brian Axelrod, they kind of bought into it, and they created all these different types of shirts, and I have my own Believe brands and Prove
Yeah.
People Wrong. And then this was one of the originals.
OG.
Don't quit, do it.
Do it.
And now they've really taken off, and they're all about reaching out, especially a lot of spinal cord injuries, but people that are facing some type of adversity and just sending them the gear. They have workout gear too, so they're big into people that are fit. It's like, hey, man, be able to get you guys.
We will
Absolutely.
rep that.
Prove people wrong.
They would prove people wrong.
Rep it for
It's
sure.
just all about prove
The
people
guy who
wrong.
started it correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't he a hockey player and he
was.
was short?
Yes. He was a
Yeah,
hockey
and he
player.
was like prove people wrong because like you can be.
Up there in
The
Boston.
underdog.
Yeah, yeah.
The
And
underdog.
then they, like I said, kind of blew up so much
Yeah.
that they kind of just sold it off to Brian and everyone. And they
Right.
kept
Oh,
up
I
the
didn't know
tradi-
this.
yeah. And they kept
Oh.
up the tradition of
Cool.
proving people wrong and sending it to people.
Yeah.
In our situations. And then
Right.
people that are
That's
big into
awesome.
the fitness world as well. So.
I used to have the green bracelet too.
exactly.
Yeah.
I got all my shirts.
Yeah.
Stuff, hat. Yeah,
Cool.
we gotta get you guys hooked up with some.
Hey,
sure,
we
man.
will rep it all day. We got
This
the
is-
Never Quit kit here.
This is
right
actually one of our buddies' shirts. So if I like it, I will genuinely wear it all the time. I
Yeah.
just
That's
wear
awesome.
people's clothes, and never quit.
Never
That's
quit.
that's my motto, man. Never quit, and that's why like earlier when you said I'm not the type to hit snooze, like I just get up.
I get up.
now. Yeah.
I like that. I like
My whole life.
just do it because a lot of people reach out and ask questions that they know the answers to. How do I get up early? I tell them, put your alarm across the room. Oh, I won't get it. Yes, you will. oh, you're going to listen to your alarm for 8 hours? You'll get it, for
right.
sure. The more I talk to people, the less bullshit I'm willing to put up with. It's almost now, it's like, look, do you want it or do you not want it? Like, I want fitness so bad, I will do anything. I go to the gym 6-7 times a week, sometimes twice a day. Like, I want it. I want this podcast bad enough to do whatever. Yeah. I don't care where I got to drive, whatever. And like you said, I got butterflies before this. Like last night before I went to bed, I was like, that is a long day.
Oh, yeah.
That is a long day.
Yeah.
7 hours of driving minimum.
Yeah.
You know, meeting this gentleman I've never met before, going to his house, like that is a lot of stuff. But my why power far exceeds my fears. And it's like, how do you put that in perspective for people? Like, sometimes you just got to do it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie to you, especially with my friends. I kind of rub them off sometimes the wrong way because that is my attitude. I was just doing it, getting it done. You know, especially when I was at college, we were trained. Whatever comes, we chopped. Our thing was chop the moment. Something comes at you, you handle it. On to the next thing.
Chop the moment?
Chop the moment. Our thing was keep chopping in our college. That's what Greg Schiano and everyone created, was to chop. You chop the moment. And his big thing was, you imagine you're in a forest and you have to chop a tree down to get your way out. You chop it down, and one hit.
Yeah.
When that tree falls down, you take a deep breath, enjoy it for the moment.
Next tree.
And then
And by the way, that tree's bigger.
Exactly. Chop the moment. That's what you put that. Whether if it
like
was a
that.
football game or if it was in a classroom or if it was just in life, you chop the moment. And that's how I am. And sometimes I'm not gonna lie, with people that don't have that mindset, it can rub them the wrong way. Because my friends like, I wanna lose weight. All right, well, what are you doing to do?
Right.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
and then if I hold you accountable and I call you out on it,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and you're not doing it, don't make me look like the bad guy,
Right.
even though it seems like I am the bad guy for calling you out and holding you accountable to it. And that's kind of like, if I'm going to, everyone knows, if he says he's going to do something,
Yeah.
he's going to do it.
it.
That's just who I am and how I go about my business. And that's all I know how to be. When other people that aren't, geared that way, nothing wrong with that's the way that they're geared, but don't come looking to me for an excuse.
Yeah,
I'm going to be the one
exactly.
that's, well, if you really want to do something, I will help you out in every way, but you got to hold up your end too.
You got to want it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
What
You
about you,
can't
Mike?
Go ahead.
Yeah. No,
Sorry.
there's nothing worse than I don't allow it anymore, than being fooled from someone that like they actually want this advice, or they want, like they come to me for some sort of, and I've had some arguments with friends too over this, because it's like, dude, don't come to me with the same thing over and over again when I know nothing. You're not even retaining one word I say. Like, if you're just coming to me to think that is like what you have to do, and then you don't put in any other work, like, no, go away, go find someone else to bother. Because like I've gotten in like huge, because it's, there's nothing worse than when a teammate on the team. What did I say today in the car?
You said that you can always tell right away who really wants to win and the people who are just kind of along for the ride.
Yep.
That is so true in all facets of life. Like that resonated with both of us. We looked at each other and we're like,
You can just
interesting.
tell, yeah.
We're dealing with some of that in our own lives right now, and it's fine. If you don't want it, that's fine. But
Yeah.
stop playing like you do.
Right,
And stop
right.
trying to bring down the people who really fucking do.
Go, yeah, exactly.
Who are all in. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not all in, like...
And part of me being me means if you say, Kevin, I want to get better at social media,
Right.
and I text you in 2 weeks and you're like, nah, I kind of, wasn't a
Yeah.
priority.
Yeah.
I'm going to know that it is a priority and you're just not doing what you need
Exactly.
to. Me as a person, if you tell me what your goals are, I'm going to try to push you.
Right.
It's not because I am an asshole. It's because quite the opposite. I want to see you succeed.
Right.
And I know if it's fitness, I know what it takes to succeed in
Right.
fitness. It sucks. It's hard.
Yeah.
Early mornings, late nights,
Yeah.
skipping out on good food. Like,
Oh.
that's part of it.
Losing your memory? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's only the extreme.
don't get
That's-
that low.
Yeah, no, don't get...
But that's where my just do it comes from, because I knew how to do it. I know how to do a lot of things.
Right.
Just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, and getting it done.
So what's the biggest indicator of that? Like when you said you could pick out who really wants to win when you were
Yeah.
playing softball
Yeah.
versus the person who's just along for the ride. What's
Right.
what's the key indicator? What's
I mean, honestly, I think you can just tell from vibes.
Vibes.
100%.
so
Oh, yeah, you got
for
it.
someone who's not as in tune with their vibes as
Right.
you mentioned, your spidey sense tingles
Yeah,
with the deer.
it's more vibes off of like what
Thank you.
is going on around. If what kind of game it is, what kind of all this stuff, and it's like if their aura doesn't go as wide as like the people who it's just like like why, or like doing a cheer or something, like, and it's just they're not in it. Like you just know when someone's just not in it, and
Right? It's so hard to articulate that.
It
but
is.
You can tell when they're like half in.
Right, and it's.
Without naming any names, is there any specific circumstance that you could try to think back to where you knew that person was asking you advice, but they weren't really?
Oh yeah.
To win it?
But I have friends. I mean, the same problem over and over and over again. I'm stressed, at work, or I'm, my boss is being this, and and it's just like, oh, well, do something about it, dude. I don't know. Like it's weird.
It's an interesting perspective from both you guys' standpoints, because if anyone could make excuses, it should be you guys, and you still don't.
Right.
So it must be hard to have patience with something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
honestly
we have almost I say an advantage over like you guys, because like we know and we've seen we can adapt to the world.
Yeah, that's the thing to be as you said, when you have something that's life changing like this, and you look at other stuff from there on out, like all right, it's really not that bad, or you can handle this situation and just get over yourself. Someone who may not have ever had anything really hard in their life or had to deal with something in their life, to them, when you're trying to tell them to like, this is hard for me, but we look at it like
overwhelmed easily.
That's nothing, because of life experiences that we may have. I have it with my friends, whether I'm giving them relationship advice, trying to tell them what to do, and they want me to tell them what they want to hear, but they don't actually want to hear what I have to say. And and like life does go on, but to them, dude, like this is the worst thing that's going on right now, because it might be the worst thing that's ever happened to them. And nothing wrong with that. It's very, very fortunate for them. You're living a good life if that's the worst thing, a breakup run, So they don't see it the same way because they didn't have that life-changing moment as like Bella and I may have had.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So the gut check that you mentioned when your mentor was coaching you on the sportscasting, that's an example of an adversity. Jonathan Moore, shout out to him on our last podcast. He talked about how planes take off into the wind. It has to be that way, and the wind is the adversity. So that's how people are.
Yeah.
And you kind of just demonstrated that, like, the adversity you two have gone through, everything else, seems small in comparison. So a gut check like that from a mentor critiquing your motivational speech, or you weren't on Eric Thomas's level or whatever it was, that gut check hits you. What do you feel? Do you feel a lot of like, oh no, or are you just like, you know what, this is nothing, I got this?
Me, no, as a former athlete, I feel like I'm not holding up my end of the bargain. I'm not holding up to my responsibility, which means I need to do whatever I need to do, whatever, take the advice and get better so you can hold me accountable. That was one thing I always had as an athlete. If it was me that messed up my job, that killed me. If I wasn't holding up my end, like, you weren't going to have to worry about me. I'm doing my job, I'm going to handle my situation. But if something like that didn't happen, it eats up inside of me, eats me. Same thing when it comes to like speaking. If I'm not holding up my end, I'm not doing what I need to do, then that's on me.
Right.
And I'm going to be the only one that's going to be able to fix that by putting in whatever, the advice that you give me, and putting that time and that work. And I got to get to the top, because you're not going to look at me and be like, yeah, it's just such a, all that potential, all that, and that's not going to be me now.
Yeah.
You're not going to look at me and say that. Nah,
I always used to say, hey, if you're going to see me mess up in any way on the field, it's going to be because a ball hit a rock and it was a physical blunder. It will never be a mental blunder. I will always know where the play is. I'll always know what the play has to be. I will always know where to be. I would know all of that. Like, so mentally and emotionally, spiritually in a game, let's say, you're in control of that. Outside factors, physicality, I mean, it's not promised.
Things happen.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's what I've taken from, like that alone is like with mentors. It's like I see hearing what you kind of don't want to hear, but like it's like, ooh, yeah, okay, I'm a little like that gut check. To me, that's like playing against the rival team with a really good player who you're just pointing at the whole time. Like, they're good, it's intimidating, and it's like, I don't know. It's like, I guess it is the athlete. It really is.
So what jumps off the page for me and for the listeners here is listen to those standards of leadership.
Yeah.
One thing, even today with social media, like you got kind of excited when
Yeah.
you realized you weren't stepping up.
Right.
And I was like, most people would have gotten like discouraged or
Yeah.
overwhelmed. And she just took it and was like, oh yeah, totally. And you were all ears about Catherine and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just such a testament to your own taking responsibility.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention too that I keep hearing from both of you is your team mentality. Like you keep on talking about how if I let the team down, like that just came out of your mouth, like that's on me. Like I don't want to let the team down. I always say, one of my heroes, Tony Robbins, he says like become a team player because you'll do more for others than you ever will for yourselves. Like you mentioned, one of your biggest why powers to overcoming this adversity is so your mom can live the life she wants to live. And I think that's more why power than you ever could have on your own. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, yeah, putting other people in positions, that you see yourself helping them and getting them to levels where they want to be at, while you also get yourself in those same ways. You can learn I think it is like you can learn from other people as well as bettering yourself while you better other people too. And that's the big thing too, working together as a team. Like that's all I know growing up because I played sports. Everything was always about the team. And I was very fortunate where, I was offered a scholarship as a freshman in high school, but I was never treated as a star player on my team. I always tell this story. My sophomore year, I remember the seniors always, in order to turn on the water, you remember those hoses like that? We had to climb down into this dirty old nasty sewer, turn on the water before practice, and when after I have to wait till everyone was done drinking water after practice. And guess who? Even though I had a scholarship, I was the best player on the team. Guess who the seniors picked as sophomore?
Yep.
Hey, every practice all year long. Just those humbling moments to make sure you may be above everyone who's skillful level, but you're never above the team when it comes to just being a part of it.
Right?
Yeah.
That's such a good
That
mentality
one hit
to
me
have.
hard too, yeah.
I totally have that mentality with my dream team, my
Yeah.
family, my beautiful girlfriend. Like I feel that way. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I've let them down
Yeah,
if I don't step up.
that feeling of letting somebody down kills me.
Right?
Yeah. Oh,
Kills me. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it kills me. Kills me.
right.
Same
Yeah.
with having mentors. I think that's the other power of mentors too. Like when I prepped for a call with one of my financial mentors yesterday, and I wrote 4 or 5 pages of notes just for a 30-minute call
Right.
because I'm like, I don't want to let him down. Like I want to value his
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I feel like we didn't even have the call.
Yeah.
Like we rescheduled, but I did all that work, which is going to translate
I am
over.
the same way,
Isn't
Alan.
that crazy?
Yep. Before I talk to anyone
Yeah.
on the phone, I have like notes and like I just want to make sure everything's there. I want to live up to the possible questions they're asking.
Standards.
Yeah, standards. I like to keep them up.
Well, that goes back to like knowing where the play is.
Yeah.
Like that's you knowing where the play is, you almost knowing too much about football for your average. Like that there's a reason it's that way. And
Yeah.
you have to translate that to your life. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what person said it, but Joe Budden says, I'm a big fan of Joe Budden.
Joe Budden,
Joey B, Jersey City.
Jersey.
Represent. He says, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. What does that mean?
Interesting.
That means if you're always ready for whatever's going to happen, there is no boom. You just react.
Yeah.
You just react. That's what these conversations are. That's why I tend not to write stuff down most of the time. Alan and I don't have a plan when we come in here.
Yeah.
It's
I
just,
think that's cool.
It's just react.
Yeah.
It's just
We're
react.
practicing every day. We're prepping
Yeah.
every day.
Right.
We have conversations every day
Yeah.
about different questions we're gonna I've never heard you say that before. Stay ready, and
If you
Uh-oh.
you don't have to get ready if you stay ready.
I really like that.
That's why one of my biggest mentors, and people gave him a lot of bad rap, was Coach Shiano, my football coach. And it's because of the culture that he built at Rutgers, the stuff that he put us in. As you say, stay ready. We were on our toes no matter what at all times. Like,
Yep.
and as soon as we entered it was called the Hale Center, that football facility. I always I need to be ready at all times. And I remember being in those meeting rooms when after we went over a tip sheet or this and that. If they're in 10 personnel and the tight end shifts over here, what do we expect? Like Eric, and you better know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Because if you get called out and you're wrong, now like I said, I'm not living up to my expectations. I'm not taking it as serious. And sometimes I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit overboard too much, but
course.
it still was you staying ready, so you knew what everything that your opponent was about to bring to you during a football game. But you can say that in life too.
Yeah.
Just staying ready.
Always
because
prep
you're
work.
prepared. You're always prepared.
I love
for
that.
for everything that happens, and some could be bad, bad stuff, good stuff, but you're always prepared for it. And that's why things. People ask me all the time, like, how do I stay so calm in situations? And it's just things just don't take me by shock. I have to tell my mom because my mom forget it. You tell her the sky's green. Oh,
I need to turn green.
and I'm just like, relax. Calm down. I'm up looking for the solution for the problem already.
Yeah.
While my mom is
On the
still
problem.
talking about, I think this is the way that I was the way I was
Prepped.
trained and prepped.
Yeah.
For my years of playing, and then especially when I got to college.
Repetition's everything. Like I talk about in the military, there's always the repetition and the structure and the daily discipline, so that when you do go to war and bullets are flying, you're not freaking out. That's kind of a good analogy for life. Like with you in the softball field, everyone sees. Tony Robbins says a great quote that I always go back to. He says, "People are rewarded in public for what they've practiced for years in private." I translate that to decades in private. Like I may win my fitness show on June 2nd. That's the plan. But you're not going to see the 365 days where I trained my face off. I ate perfectly, not perfectly, but you know what I mean. I was doing the 5 pillars, every day, and so you on the softball field, people saw like, oh my God, she's so talented. But most of that is just prep work.
I never stopped moving. I never stopped practicing. I told you I used to put
50
on
push-ups.
my cleats, and my brother would have his new paintball gun. I'd put a mask on. I'd break in my cleats, do agility, while my brother would just work on his gun and just shoot me. Like it was just things like that where it's just like always practicing.
I want people to hear that. Like masters make it look easy. Like you kept talking, Eric, on this podcast right now about how sportscasting was much more than you thought it was. How football is so much more than people think it is. We're talking about you, and I think you use the term tip sheet in the coaching room.
Yeah,
like
tip sheets.
We always talk about podcasting. This is a whole thing. It's way more than people could ever fathom until you step into it. And it's like we hear stories about you having your brother shoot you with a paintball gun while you run around the yard. Like that's what it takes to be the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's some reckless stuff.
It's exactly. It's
weird.
It's being obsessive.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And the biggest person I talk about, that I think about, that comes to my mind when I think about the way that he played or his game and stuff like that, is Kobe Bryant. He says how obsessive he was to playing a game where he sacrificed everything. He was making sure he's got those 1,000 shots up in the gym, putting them in those scenarios. Talk about staying ready.
That's right.
Kobe, and he ain't even my favorite player. I'm a KG, Kevin Garnett guy.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Jordan guy. But Kobe Bryant,
Yeah.
I respect the hell out of him because he's the type where he would look at his teammates and hold them accountable, and he expected you to be on his level at all times. And if you weren't, he was gonna let you know about it, and then he'll go out there and he'll show you like, this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna prove it to you that this works. And that's why someone like him has 5 championships.
Exactly.
You know,
because to have your teammates respect to be like, oh yeah, I do want to play well for you. That's like
be obsessed.
He's a good dude. Yeah,
You got to be all in with anything.
exactly.
Yeah,
With anything.
If you want to be great at
Yeah.
anything, you have to be all in.
You have to be all in.
Yeah,
Because there's someone out there that is.
yeah.
Let me fire them right now. Shoot.
Right? Yeah, you got
Let's
fired
go.
up right now.
I know.
We're definitely going to the gym tonight.
I'm gonna run down on kickoff again. Real quick.
Love it.
Bang.
Love it.
You guys are killing it right now. Get it. Get it.
Kobe.
How long have we been going?
know.
We should
My-
know that off the top of our head.
My watch doesn't
I
work.
was say it's only 1:30.
1:30. So it's been what, like an hour and a half?
Wow.
Hour and a half.
Goes
We've been
by
crushing
quick.
It does.
Goes by quick. What do you got?
Actually-
Another half?
I should.
Yeah.
What time you got to go to your thing?
I gotta make a few phone calls. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
Yeah.
other than that,
We should
Let's
wrap
wrap
up
it
in
up.
Yeah, we'll wrap
a little
up.
while.
All right.
Yeah, we'll wrap up in like 10 minutes. Like,
listen,
good.
perfect. Perfect.
You have a couple more questions
you
you want to
doing?
ask? I certainly do.
Hi, Mom.
How we doing?
I'm
All right, we'll wrap it up in like 10 minutes, Mom.
Her ears were burning, Eric. Her ears were burning.
But so we were talking about prep work, and one of the things I like to say is whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? So Alan and I say this is going to be the most successful podcast of all time, but it will never be until we do 99.9% of the prep work. that one day where you get the award that says most successful podcast of all time, which isn't really a thing, but
Right.
you know, all it is prep work.
He wishes it was.
I do wish it was.
He's like, oh, if only they had an
I'm putting
Academy
it out to the
Award.
universe. Put that out to the
The
universe.
The Academy
I'll make it
Award for best
myself.
podcast.
I will
Right?
make it myself.
When you buy a house, when you buy a house, 99.9% is research up until the moment where you sign. When did you
Right.
actually buy the house? When you signed your name to it. That's how most things are.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of people expect those immediate results. We talked
Yeah.
about that earlier. If you get those immediate results, you won't do what's necessary to get to the next level, the next step. Right? So how do you take failure in stride? And when I say failure, I mean like lack of success in the moment. So that time where your mentor said, "Look, you gotta kick it to me a little more. Don't be so deep with the talks. Keep it on a base level." Like, how do you accept that constructive criticism? Realize they're not making fun of me; they're trying to make me better,
Right.
and then do that.
I think it's a mature level too.
Yeah.
Being able to be mature enough to take that constructive criticism and go ahead and say, all right, you told me this is what I need to do. And being, like I said, we were talking about earlier, not afraid to try it out. Don't go back to that comfort zone and just do what you know how to do, because that's where you feel comfortable. Coming out of that comfort zone, be able to, all right, I want to try this now. And that's how I'm going to start holding myself accountable when it comes to my speaking now. So I've been doing this now for a few weeks. Now I need to start trying to, take some of those messages that I'm learning and put it into what I'm doing. And don't be afraid to mess up, even if I don't tell the story the greatest of ways. I'm still trying, and that's going to get me to the next level. And a big thing is also, if you want to get better with my area, just recording yourself and actually listening.
Listening.
I have to listen, even though I hate my voice.
Yeah,
My
me
smooth
too.
jazz radio.
Smooth jazz radio.
I have to listen to myself so I know how to better
Yeah.
myself and make sure I'm emphasizing certain parts of the stories and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And I know that, and I will. I definitely will if I want to get to where I want to be.
Right.
If I want to become a millionaire motivational
Right.
speaker,
Right.
I got to get better.
And I'm telling you right now from experience, when I first started this, I hated hearing myself talk, right? I make the 1 minute teaser clips, and a 1 minute clip is probably an hour or two's worth of work. And I listen to the 1 minute over and over and over. I have heard my voice so many times, Eric, that now it's like, okay, yeah. I don't even hear it anymore.
Yeah.
I literally don't hear it because I've been putting in the reps. So the more you do it, I guarantee the easier it'll get for
Yeah.
sure. For
And
sure.
that's with everything. Going back and looking at your last performance.
Take it easy with
Did
the
I
mic, Alan.
just mess up the
No,
mic?
you're good.
I'm still good.
You're good.
So I have a question. I know that you probably wanted to piggyback on what he just said, but I have a super
good.
important question. It's kind of a yes or no answer that just kind of came to me. I wrote it down. You guys clearly have very, very high standards for yourselves, and you were both incredible athletes. And I think that your standards in athletics were a huge indicator of who you've become today. So my question is very simple. If you didn't have such high standards, would you have gotten through to the point where you guys are after your injury to this point? Because it kind of came to me like, oh, wow.
No, that's interesting because, all I know is high standards. Like, I've always set that for myself. Like, that's all I know. And do I credit that carried into this recovery? Oh, yeah. Like that's the biggest difference I can see when talking with others in the community, Eric. Like, you'll probably agree with me. You can kind of tell when there's just, like something's... What was that? Oh, my foot just tingled.
You're good.
No, but you can kind of tell when people before something happened, you kind of tell where they were at. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. I feel like as, my just athlete and just who I was before, it's like I am me now too. And it's, if I look at it that way, answering that question, I guess I would say yes.
Yeah, it definitely carries over
Yeah.
because would we be sitting here today if I didn't hold myself up to the standards that I do? Would you be wanting to have me on your podcast? Would I just be somebody that was upstairs in my room, not doing what I'm doing? Like I said, I'm very fortunate. I'm having an Eric Legrand night to promote my walk at a NWSL game today. It's the Women's Soccer League. I get to go out there and be the honorary captain. If I didn't hold myself to these standards, would I have those opportunities? Wouldn't
And the answer is probably not.
exactly.
I really want the listeners to realize that, like, you guys have been through extreme adversity, but your standards never let you quit. Like, you
Right.
refuse to accept anything
all
less.
you know.
Like, neither of you accepted what the doctors
Just
said.
become a statistic. It was just one of those 5.6 million people that are paralyzed in
Yep.
this world. And
Yep.
Right.
but what are they doing to make a
Right.
difference?
Right.
You guys were
that hit
both told
Yeah.
by your doctors that you guys are both past the point that you were told was even possible. That is because of your standards. If you were to, or what is the main thing? Is it belief in yourself? Is it standards? Like,
I would
what's
say it was a lot of faith. And you
I
gotta,
was just gonna
you
say
gotta believe in
that.
God. You gotta pray. You gotta do what you need to do on that side, but also working hard and not accepting an answer. So continuing to go to therapy, even when you think you may hit a plateau and nothing. You
yeah.
go, you're there every day, and nothing. It's just always the same old. Sticking to it until that one day that game day victory comes,
Right.
and it's just like, oh
Yeah.
my God, like I move my arm a little bit more
Milestone,
today. Or
yeah.
I'm able to lift my arm
Yeah.
up this much more, and shimmy shaking
Yeah,
down. When
shimmy
at first I was just like,
Right. Right.
stuff like that. So it's just
Yeah.
sticking to the grind.
the
It
grind?
is.
I was just
It's
gonna.
sticking to the
Grind is what
grind.
came into
like
my mind.
like what I think you guys like. I just had
Yeah.
is who like I know we were before our injury, like that has not changed, and it's the circumstance that's changed. Yeah, we don't get on a uniform anymore. We don't, have to worry about getting to this class. No, that's not it. But this has stayed the same, and I credit my God and faith for that staying in here, because the root of me is my spirit, and in my spirit is God. And if I can pay attention to that and know that, that keeps me true to myself.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And you're still putting in the work, though.
oh no, absolutely.
that, like, a
yeah.
lot of- there's a
but I wouldn't
disconnect.
want to put in the work
Right.
if I didn't first
Right.
lay down that foundation for myself, whether
Yeah.
I'm paralyzed or not.
So it's basically don't stop believing
right.
and
Yeah.
keep faith, whatever faith
Yeah.
is, whether it's God, universe,
Believing
whatever.
in what you cannot see.
Right.
Oh, that's so huge. So, like, for all the listeners out there, like, if you two didn't believe that you could get to where you are right now after the accident, you wouldn't. There's no chance,
Right.
because you wouldn't have put in the work.
Right.
It's like that with everything. Like, if you didn't
Yeah.
believe that this podcast could succeed, if I didn't believe this podcast could succeed, like, truly believe it
Right.
and, like, own that, we wouldn't be here right now.
Right. Right. If this is hard, and we would say
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of a
I
lot.
want to take that ride. Exactly.
Kind of a lot. Kind of a lot of work.
3.5 hours.
I heard he's got a big dog.
And we got to pick up Bella. Come on.
Yeah.
I know.
She's going to be sleepy. It's going to be a whole thing.
Right.
like literally, I am the worst.
You didn't even sleep.
I rested my eyes.
Yeah.
for a
Well,
bit.
you're
Yeah.
good.
She was listening to our
You
conversation.
better than me. As soon as I get in the van, this chair is like a car seat. I am gone.
Really?
Now, why? I'm nobody. We tell you, my mom tells you later. I am no company in the car.
That's usually how I'm like.
If there's not a bunch of us and we're like just nonstop
Right.
talking and laughing,
Just
as soon as it
pass
gets
out.
quiet, my friend like, hey, he was just talking mid sentence, and I'm like, yes,
It's something about the
Ow.
motion of the
Yes.
car.
Oh, right.
I am gone.
Yeah.
I'm the worst.
Yep.
Not with me
actually-
driving, Eric.
I've
You
actually
wouldn't
had
fall
this, this conversation where we can create a bed that can simulate the motion of a car.
Wow.
I sleep like a baby in a
Wow.
car.
You better say trademark, or somebody's gonna
I
steal that.
know.
I know, right?
Trademark.
I don't want to do that. That's not my purpose. So you guys do that.
Yeah, there you
Somebody
go.
Yeah,
take it
someone take the
and,
idea, run with it.
Send me a check.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Speaking of that, on the way home, me and you, we're gonna sleep. Kevin's got this.
Yeah, I got this. Once I pump, I'll
It's
get
all
some
you.
Joe Budden on, man.
Pump it up.
Yeah. All right, so we'll let you go and do your soccer game. Your honorary captain. Is there anything? Same with you, Bella. Plug away at whatever it is. Any
Yes.
up and coming projects? Any whatever you have, Eric.
Oh yeah. Well,
Give away all
how
your
fast you guys
things.
gonna get it up? Just
Yeah, like when would you get it up? He has an event coming up.
When this will be up. Oh boy.
I know. We got
We
a
got
lot
like
in the tank.
yeah, we have
got
like
in
three
the
other
tank,
ones
so
coming.
we're talking mid-June at
Yeah.
this point.
So-
mid June.
Mid-June, yeah.
Okay, so
He's going through the Rolodex.
Yeah.
He's like, I got
I
so
probably
much.
should. I'll be done with the walk, and then we'll be right into my Zumba event. So I'm good. I'm plugging my vacation.
All
My
right.
vacation.
I'll see you in
plugging my
Cabo.
vacation, July 2nd
Yeah.
to the 7th in Cabo. Meet me out there.
I might come. I really might. I might come.
Senoritas, mamacitas.
Mamacitas.
What about you, Belle?
I'm working on a lot of things actually. I'm not allowed to talk about like 3 out of 4 of them, but one of them is possible Ellen show at
That
the
would
end of the
be
year.
dope.
Yes.
And I'm trying to get out a book. I'm just trying to like find a good publisher. I said that the last podcast too. That is like harder
Yeah, it's a
than
thing.
I thought.
Yeah.
That is harder than I thought.
We had Lori Harder on the podcast
Yeah.
recently. We're going to a book signing event. She
Really?
just created a book called A Tribe Called Bliss, and we're
Oh, I
going to
heard
that on June 5th. And I'm going to ask
Really?
her about her publisher and all that
Really?
stuff. I've got
Cool.
Also, Terrence has published 4 books.
Yeah.
He was
Wow.
on the
Yeah, I
podcast.
gotta
I'm in the right.
definitely-
I was fortunate when HarperCollins actually reached out to me.
Oh,
about it,
really?
so-
Really?
Yeah, I worked with
I'm gonna look into
HarperCollins.
that ghostwriting. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, but the. Oh, she has to know. But that's it.
What did you say? So yeah,
We're
I have
about to.
go.
Yeah, we'll sign off.
Yeah, we're about to sign
All
off.
right, ladies and gents. Eric's got to go. He's a popular, busy man, and we have to drive back to Massachusetts.
Yes, we do.
And I have to sleep.
And Bella has to sleep, and Alan has to sleep. Eric, thank you so much. Bella, thank you for coming on for the ride and
Right.
sitting down with
you.
us.
Thank
and
you.
One more quick thing. Plug your Instagram,
Yeah,
because you've been
definitely.
working on that.
Yeah, follow me on all social media platforms. My Instagram is Twitter, and Twitter is Eric Legrand 52. That's EricLegrand 52. And then my Facebook is just Eric Legrand. Holla.
all right, ladies and gents, we're going to sign off. And again, super grateful, super happy. And this was a great episode, and I'm super
awesome.
I'm super happy we were able to do it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Say goodbye, Alan.
Love it. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Farts.
I knew you were gonna plug it in.
Ladies and gents, we truly hope you enjoyed that episode with Eric Legrand and Bella Picard. And up next for you, next week, we have an episode all about leadership, where me and Alan talk about leadership, what it means to us, how to be a good leader, things of that nature.
Yeah, we referenced the book by John C. Maxwell, one of my favorite authors, constantly, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That's a great book, great episode where we talk about the principles of leadership, what it means to be a leader, how everyone really is a leader. If you influence those around you, which you do, then you're a leader. So we hope you enjoy it.